Hey everyone, it's Jack and Sam from Cultaholic.com. It's Wednesday, it's post-SmackDown, and there's all sorts of news to talk about. There's returns, there's inductions, there's various different things. Are you excited?
Yeah, there's a contract thing that we're going to talk about as well. Yeah.
Let's take a look. First of all, an injured WWE superstar announced that he is to return soon. Secondly, we saw two big returns on SmackDown, although one was a little bit more controversial than the other. And finally, WWE have officially announced the latest induction into their Hall of Fame. So first of all, let's talk about the newest of the newses on here. Bray Wyatt took to Twitter, and often wrestlers will interact with reporters on Twitter and will confirm or deny things, but rarely as crystal clear as this one.
Well, it all sort of started the other day when a fan on Twitter used Bray and Killian Dane as examples of Vince McMahon not wanting to push larger male wrestlers. And Bray replied to the fan and said, "Oh, ye of little faith, you couldn't be more wrong."
Yeah.
So that was sort of just laying some seeds.
Then Sean Reuter of Cage Side Seats did an article basically saying we don't have any faith left because this has happened quite a lot. And to be fair, he is right to a degree.
Yeah.
Bray often goes on Twitter and posts cryptic things.
But he's supposed to be really mystical. It's sort of the whole thing with him.
Yes.
Yeah, so like, I get that he does it a lot, but yeah, it does get a bit concerningly annoying.
He said, "I don't put any faith in Wyatt's vague statements that might be but probably aren't alluding to being reintroduced on Raw or SmackDown. I mean, why should we have faith at this point?" So Bray quote retweeted the article and said, "Dear Sean Reuter, I don't care what you think." It's pinned as well at the top of his Twitter feed at the moment. "Dear Sean Reuter, I don't care what you think. How's this for cryptic? I'll be back soon. And when everyone sees how great I am, you'll owe me a beer. Until then, stop writing reports on me every time I write something." Well, looks like he's going to be back at some point, although there's still things that are a mystery, such as the exact sort of time frame.
Yeah.
Raw or SmackDown.
Well, there'd been rumours that he was just waiting for the right storyline opportunity. So, because he's not injured and he's just waiting. And I just want to see him get a monster heel push.
Right.
I think it's just the only way to reintroduce him is get rid of all the mystical side of him. He's not the Undertaker. Make him a cult leader again.
Right.
It's the only way.
Kind of like he was at the start of his time on the main roster / NXT. Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, Bray is really frustrating because often you can tell that it's not his fault. He kills it on the mic. He's good in the ring.
He does everything that's asked of him.
But
absolutely everything that's asked of him.
His character is a difficult one to book consistently. You might get one good storyline here or there, but they often have him pick a fight with someone for reasons, cryptic reasons, and then lose in the end.
It's the problem with current wrestling is that there are no great characters left. Once we lose The Undertaker and Kane, that's sort of the last two big characters, and now everybody's gimmick is I'm a wrestler.
Right.
So it's sort of it's an odd one because you have this character that you have to really build and preserve and protect.
Yeah.
If he's going to be mystical and comic booky But if you make him a cult leader, I think it's more of a real-life edge.
Yeah, it's more of a modern update, I suppose, on the thing. Yeah, I agree. I wonder when he will come back. Would you, given the current landscape of the roster, although it can change very soon, I'm guessing there'll be a shake-up pretty soon after Mania, but where would you rather see him at this moment, on Raw or SmackDown?
Maybe SmackDown.
Okay.
Because he's going to be able to, once they expand and move with Fox, he's going to be able to have that spotlight, I think, and he's a sort of character that can get away with that.
I was going to say, I don't know if Fox would like him, but if they had no say in it, then I'd rather see him on SmackDown as well.
Yeah.
I just think at the moment, with Becky Lynch moving over to Raw and everything, all the big storylines are kind of going on Raw apart from the Kofi one.
Yeah.
I think there's more room for Wyatt to make an impression on SmackDown. Although I associate him with SmackDown a lot more in my mind anyway.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, I think he must have spent more time on there. He was the champion over there for, about a month or two. He won it at the Chamber, and then Randy Orton didn't get distracted by his insects.
No, that was that match.
And we cheered Randy. We cheered him, and he burnt down his house.
He did.
We were like,
burned down his house.
Randall,
that's why you don't trust Randall Keith.
Randall. Right, that's enough of that. Let's move on to the next news story. So it feels like often on a Wednesday we talk about SmackDown and something big's happened. Like SmackDown's really sort of kicking off recently.
Popping off
all over the place. There were two big returns on SmackDown last night from Charlotte, North Carolina. As I mentioned in the intro, one more popular than the other. We'll start with the one that happened earlier on in the show, which was the more controversial one.
Definitely.
Kevin Owens has returned. It was great to see him back.
Yeah.
You know, he looks great.
Yeah, so I mean, the show opened with the contract signing for Kofi Bryan at Fastlane. After Kofi made this big emotional speech, and he said, you know, how hard he's worked and how hard the fans have worked for him. he's really happy to have this chance. And then Brian puts pen to paper, and then Vince's music hit. And then Vince came out and went, yeah, like, I really like what you did, and I'm really thankful for everything you did, but all these people deserve a proper box office match, so I'm going to give it to a bloke that deserves it a bit more. Kevin Owens.
Right. It's strange.
Why?
It's strange.
Why?
Now, if this was I understood when it happened with Becky and Charlotte.
Yeah.
But Charlotte does fill that corporate mold. She could realistically be, the she's tall and blonde, and so she's the model of a WWE superstar or sports entertainer or whatever you want to say. And she's got the family links with Ric Flair as well. Whereas with Kevin Owens, he's an indie darling. That's where he came from. And he wears a vest and basketball shorts.
Yes.
And it's just
Hulk Hogan once said that he looked like an ice cream man and he'll never get anywhere, I think.
But he is fantastic at wrestling and talking. But it's not also that long ago, it feels like, since him and Vince, he headbutted Vince and stuff.
Yeah,
I feel like they've shoehorned this story in.
Well, it's made worse by the fact that he's sort of a reluctant face.
He's not heel.
So he requests, after the whole segment, he's backstage with Stephanie and Shane. He says to them, I know you had no part in this, but I'm thankful Vince sees that in me.
Yeah.
And then he requests a match for later in the night with the man that he thinks deserved to fight Daniel Bryan. So it's him and Kofi versus Bryan.
Oh, yeah. He tags with him. He tags with him later on, yeah.
And so it's thanks, man, just taking your spot, but you're going to get a shot later.
I hope that it's built into something. I saw someone tweeted me, I'm sorry I can't remember your handle, but literally just before, saying, could this be the start of Triple H taking control from Vince because he's making these wild decisions? And I think that is a bit far-fetched, but I enjoy it.
Are they going to cite the rehiring of Pritchard and storyline?
It's a weird one, and it's one of those ones where we can't tell quite what's happening until it plays out a little bit.
Yeah, I think we were talking about this before outside. You had a good idea, which was that Kofi's going to get inserted into that match.
Oh, that wasn't me. It must have been Adam.
Must have been Adam.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just taking credit of.
I think it was the idea of Kofi being inserted into it to make it a three-way. I think that makes a lot more sense. It gives Kofi that sort of final chance if they're not wanting to, bank on him. Yeah. Then he gets to go out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah. Or maybe Owens gets the shot at Bryan at Fastlane,
and
then Kofi faces the winner at WrestleMania. I don't know.
Or Kofi comes in, turns heel.
If Kofi was to do that, though, everyone would love it. If he ruined that match, he'd be the new Becky Lynch.
Yeah. Which
is weird because she's still currently doing her thing. But, the other return set the crowd on fire because they were in North Carolina.
Yes.
It was Matt Hardy.
Local boy.
Yes. Yeah. Who we thought had retired from the way he was talking on Twitter sometimes and stuff.
Interesting because apparently WWE, it was PW Insider that reported that a clause in both Matt and Jeff's contracts has been invoked, which the contracts I think were supposed to end next month.
Oh, right.
They have now been extended for 1 year from next month.
Tag team wrestling.
1 more year.
Now, so he and Jeff teamed up to beat Sheamus and Cesaro.
Yeah.
Everyone loved it. They were in North Carolina. I was pleased because I like Matt Hardy, but the problem is that it did take away from a match that we were promised last week, which could have been so good, Sam. So good.
But don't believe in what you just don't listen to last week. Don't.
It never happened. Yeah.
It just whatever happens this week is what was supposed to happen.
The match, of course, that got cancelled was Johnny Gargano versus Cesaro, which would have been
monstrous.
And they've just jeopardised Cesaro's chances to get some points in the bag on Wrestlers of the Week, and I just don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But, I feel like it's one of those things where I would have loved to have seen that match, but the whole integration of these new NXT guys is really weird.
It's been, for my money, just really awkward and stinted and just bad so far.
And they've been
putting on great matches, but it's just been and here's the guys. What?
But Ricochet and Aleister Black beat the Revival in 3 minutes on Raw, and they're the tag team champion. I don't know. It's a bigger. So Kevin Owens and Matt Hardy came back on SmackDown. It's all you can tell from the storylines that are happening at the moment. It's all kicking into gear on the road to WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, WWE have announced the latest induction into the Hall of Fame. The ceremony, of course, will take place over WrestleMania weekend, and it is the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time, the Honky Tonk Man. He's the Honky Tonk Man.
54 days.
Pretty long.
Long sideburns. Hair slicked back.
He's coming to your town if you live in the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area in a pink Cadillac. Yeah, I did a bit of research on this IC title reign.
Yeah.
And it was a little thing that I never knew, actually, which a lot of people might know, but I'll just read it out because it's quite interesting. So he beat Ricky Steamboat for it.
Yes, 1987, right?
Yes, and then the rumour was that he was only meant to hold it for a little bit. He was only meant to be a transitional champion.
Really?
But then Jake the Snake Roberts failed some drug tests, and that's who he was going to pass it on to.
Because I know there was a period of time where the crowd were absolutely in love with Honky, and it bewilders me.
Right.
It was really over at one point. Because I just can't get my head around the gimmick. He's just wrestling Elvis.
Yes.
But
during this title reign, that's what kind of solidified his legacy as a great heel, because he would do everything to get out of losing the belt and everything. But his legendary run was obviously ended by the Ultimate Warrior at the first ever SummerSlam, which is one of the iconic SummerSlam moments. And it never really, that was very much the high point, I think, of Honky Tonk Man's career.
Yeah, he had rhythm and blues and then he moved off.
But, he's an interesting one to be, interesting is a word I've used there.
Yeah, he's previously been quite vocal about the Hall of Fame, just once or twice on occasion whenever he's been asked about it. And because, he's a wrestler of a certain age, everybody's always going to be like, when are you going to the Hall of Fame? He said, among other things, it's not a Hall of Fame, for Christ's sake. I don't know why. I know wrestling fans are very passionate about some things, but the Hall of Fame isn't something you should be passionate about, which is... Yeah, it's
awkward in hindsight.
It's awkward in hindsight, but I guess maybe he could have said those things out of bitterness of not already being in it, or seeing all these other people around him that were around the same time that have been in it for ages. But now he gets to go in, and he does have an important place in WWE history, and that's the most important thing.
He does. Maybe he's he's more. This is total speculation, but maybe he's more respectful of the Hall of Fame now that it's got people like the Rock and Roll Express, or people of his sort of time
the
have been
NWA
inducted.
legends.
Or the fact that the Horsemen are going in this year. I mean, not this year, it's DX going in. But the Horsemen have already got in. I know that. I know my wrestling. So other rumoured names as well to be going in this year. There's that weird thing with the Hart Foundation, because they were announced, or not by WWE, but they were heavily reported online. And then it was it's DX. Or the Four Horsemen, if you want. And I was like...
The problem with the Hart Foundation is you're going to need Owen to go in.
Oh, yeah.
And for Owen to go in, I think they would need permission to do that, which might be the reason why the talk about that's chilled off.
Well, when I saw it reported, it wasn't going to be the full mid-90s Hart Foundation with Owen and Davey Boy.
Oh, okay.
It was going to just be Bret, Jim Neidhart, and Jimmy Hart.
Oh, okay, right. So the original.
The three, So, I don't know. The other one as well, which I guess is because of where WrestleMania is this year, and because he's a legend as well, is Taz. An ECW icon. Yeah,
ECW icon turned radio DJ now.
A successful one as well.
Killing it,
Scary man.
Yeah, scary.
Don't disrespect him.
Do not disrespect him on Twitter.
Not at all.
He will come after you.
He will.
Yeah. Also, fact about the Honky Tonk Man, cousin of Jerry Lawler.
Cousin of Jerry Lawler.
There you go.
He's cool, he's cocky.
Oh, yeah,
he's bad.
He's bad.
He's a bad man.
Oh, so bad.
So on that wonderful note, that's the end of this news update. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to, @JackTheJobber.
You can follow me on Twitter if you would like to, @LessDefined.
And check out our Patreon as well, patreon.com/Cultaholic. And don't forget, of course, if you haven't done so already, to hit subscribe and to join us.